to Super Bet Bros, sponsored by Perry. Welcome to Super Bet Bros, guys. My name is Patrick.
I'm Josh.
And we are the betting podcast by Super Sports Bros. And our whole thing is brought to you by NutriStack. You're all in one place to compare any type of pre-workout fitness brand so that you know your dollar goes further. Well, let's NutriStack some cash with these bets and get right into it. Our first pick of the day is going to be coming from me. I think that 9.5 points to the NFL, that's a little bit too much. That's like 17.5 in college football. I think they get paid to play football too. I think Pittsburgh, I think they cover the 9.5 against the Ravens. Playoff Lamar, I think every year he hasn't really come on in the playoffs. Yeah, that's right, Perry. I just don't think that he's going to be that good. I think the Ravens will still win it, but I feel pretty confident about Pittsburgh plus 9.5. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I when a spread gets up that high, I know they just covered 20.5 or whatever, something ridiculous to end the season. But playoff football, getting up that high, bad track record, it's hard to cover that.
Playoff football, it's a different animal. And then I think that's why I'm moving over to, we're following some of the public money here, and we're going Chargers plus 2.5 on the road at Houston. Minus 2.5. That's what I was thinking. They are favored on the road. I don't think that Houston can get it done as a home dog. I think that Jim Harbaugh just knows too much about January football, and that's just something that they don't have in a quarterback there at Houston. He just doesn't have a lot of experience, and I think Jim Harbaugh goes in there, and I think they take care of business.
Whatever. He's really struggling. Deep balls have been a problem for him. Chargers really looking good down the stretch, really finding their own. Ladd McConkey really coming in his freshman year. Joe Alt, they did a real good job in the draft. I think the momentum's going their way. I think they cover.
Now moving on over to the Commanders. Got two separate bets on this game. First, we're going with the over. I think you got two really bad defenses and some pretty good, not awful quarterbacks. You know, Jaden over there, every once in a while he can just light it up. I really think that the over is the play there. And then I also think that the Commanders' money line, I'm staying away from the spread here. I think you just hammer them to win. I feel really confident about them. Another team that I feel really confident about on the spread, actually, a larger spread, Eagles minus 4.5. The Eagles are just going to win. It's going to be the Lions versus the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And I don't think there's anything we can really do about that. I think they're going to roll over them. And unless you have any other thoughts on that, I think the Eagles and the Commanders might take those.
I think the Eagles especially are in a good spot. We don't know exactly. It's looking like Jordan Love will be good to go for the first round of the playoffs, but they do lose Watson for the year with the knee injury. I think that's a big blow. They've had some inconsistencies. They obviously didn't look great. They were still playing for something in their final game against the Bears, and they lose to a team that skidded for 10 straight games. I think the Eagles take this comfortably. I think they have the edge.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to see them doing anything besides, even if they need it at the last second, they have too many weapons. Saquon just hurdling people. I mean, when have you seen that? And they can just get a tush push if they need it. They just, on offense, it feels like they're unstoppable. And when they can have a good game on defense, they can hold anybody to any points they need. When the Eagles are firing on all cylinders, it's really scary.
Oh yeah,
that NFC Championship game, man. Whew,
they're gonna have Hurts back too. That's gonna be a big thing. Firing on all cylinders.
Oh yeah.
Getting your play caller back's gonna be real big. Especially for that team.
Because he had enough time this season to actually. It's not like he's just coming into the playoffs. He had enough time. He just missed a couple weeks. He's got to, I think Hurts comes in, and I think he'll light it up. I think that the league kind of overlooks him a little bit, and I think he can go in there and really do some damage. Also, putting on our conspiracy hats, Rams money line. You got to follow the storylines. 3 years in a row, Stafford coming back to Ford Field. Can he do it this time? No, he can't. But the NFL wants it to happen. I mean, my only other thought would be that the NFL really wants to have storylines, and they love a good rivalry. And there's, besides the Ravens and the Steelers, which we already talked about, there is no real historical rivalry in the NFL. Maybe the Bears and Packers. Other than that, can you really, they haven't really fostered that many unique rivalries. And I think that that's what they're trying to do between the Vikings and the Lions here. So if they, I don't know, that's going to be a very interesting one to watch. But I think that home team plus 108 is what I got it at. Some plus money on the Rams. I think it's hard not to take it. It's just a little too enticing for me. And
actually, something on that. Speaking of putting the conspiracy hats on, I saw this earlier today on social media. Vikings start the year, win their first 5 games. They're on a little win streak. Lose to the Lions. Next week, lose to the Rams. What happens next? A little win streak. Lose to the Lions. Who are they playing next? The Rams. We saw it happen once this year.
yeah,
Why not have it happen twice?
yeah,
I'm going
there you
for
go.
it.
You heard it here first. Matthew Stafford is going to be coming back to Detroit. Will Kelly Stafford get booed again? We can only hope. Now, our last thing, touching on Detroit sports, I have a couple hockey bets. When you see games at 5.5 on the over-under total, you just have to take the over. It's one of those things that you just kind of, 5.5 is way too low. Just think of a 3-1 game. You can just have a couple empty netters, or they'll try and score it, get it closer, and then you're just going to have that empty net goal there to make it 4-2 at the end. It happens too often where you think you're good on the under, and then all of a sudden there's 6-7 goals right away. I just think whenever you see that 5.5, unless it's some really bad offensive teams, that's too low. And then our last couple bets, for me at least, before we get into Josh's picks, are, I've talked about it on the main podcast before, road dogs that are plus 2.5 cover the spread in college basketball. We've been over it. Now we have Michigan plus 2.5 going to UCLA, taking on number 15. I think they get it done. Michigan's other losses came within 2 points, so it's right in that margin. I think they can do it. And Tennessee plus 2.5 against another ranked team. It's one of those things. You see it, you bet it, you don't even bat an eye at it. Well, I know that you spent a lot of time researching and getting us ready for the college football playoff and the next round that we got here and these upcoming games. Can you take us through some of your picks so that we can get some money?
Yeah, so I threw together a couple quick same game parlays. If you want, you can just break them up if you're feeling one of the picks as it is. Both are hovering right now on FanDuel around plus 400, so you're looking at 1 unit turning into 4. Starting off, Penn State, Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame money line in this one. I think this game is going to be a grueling defensive battle. I think both teams' strengths on offense play bad against the other team's strengths on defense. Notre Dame especially, we've seen them. They really like to run the ball. Wide receiver core is weak. I'm going to get into that in a little bit with the other parts of the picks. I think they're going to have a hard time throwing the ball in this game. We saw what Penn State was capable of doing against them, or against Boise State, I should say, and Ashton Genty, who had one of the best rushing seasons ever. Yeah. They're going to really try to stack the box, make Notre Dame beat them through the air, which I don't know that they can.
Yeah, can Riley Leonard step up is what you're saying.
Yeah, but that being said, I can't trust Penn State in big games. And I know it's becoming a cliche, and you don't want to just bet on the cliches, but we've seen it this year against Ohio State, against Oregon. They just could not find ways to get it done. And I think this is going to be closer to the Ohio State game where you kind of have like a 20-17 game. You really want to be playing the field position. Whoever's getting those good returns or whoever's messing up their punts, stuff like that is going to be really key. And I think Notre Dame, just as a team, even with the weak wide receivers, I think they find the way to get it done. I think they're the more complete team. I think they've shown that they can face competition better this year. So I'm going with Notre Dame money line, but I am also going both quarterbacks under on their passing. So I'm going
Okay.
Aller. I had it at under 183.5. He only posted 150 against Ohio State earlier in the year. I already said I think it's going to be something like that, where it's just a lot of short drives. So it's going to be really hard to build up yards. And then Leonard, I've said it, don't really like the wide receiver room, at least now for Notre Dame. I got him at under 157.5. He only had 90 last week against a very good Georgia secondary. So putting all those three together, I think Notre Dame wins a kind of ugly smash mouth defensive mindset football game. Both quarterbacks struggle through the air, and whoever can chip out some more ground yardage is going to take it.
Oh, yeah. I think it's very hard to bet against Notre Dame. NIU really scared them straight, and after that, they have been perfect. They've been perfect.
Absolutely.
They've played their brand of football perfectly. You can't ask them to do anything more. They're basically doing what Michigan did last year. They're playing their brand of football perfectly, and they're just doing that. They're winning games. They're not doing anything too flashy. I like Notre Dame. I was wrong about Notre Dame, honestly. Early in the year, I wrote them off, but they have came up big.
Next game, Ohio State, Texas. We're Michigan guys. You can tell we got the Lions hats on. It pains me to say it, but I have to go Ohio State, and I think they're covering at 5.5. I think Texas has a very good defense. I have a very hard time buying into their offense being able to go toe-to-toe with Ohio State. Both teams, great defenses. We've seen it so far in this playoff. I think Ohio State's weapons are just going to chip away, and I think a big part of it is we've seen them come out so hot, so fast against Tennessee and against Oregon so far in this playoff, really pissed off after losing to Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen it. We saw Jeremiah Smith going for a ton of yards. We saw Emeka Egbuka having a great game. They were killing them through the air in the last game. They were killing Oregon. I think Texas, their primary focus is going to be to try to take that away. And I think Ohio State, with the double-headed monster of Henderson and Judkins, are going to be able to chip and be able to find a big play where you're thinking, oh, they're going to pass it. They're going to hit you with a nice run for 15, 20, 25 yards.
Oh, yeah.
And when you start thinking run, they're going to start hitting you with the big plays. They're going to hit you with the play action, stuff like that, getting really dangerous receivers in. So I'm going Ohio State covering 5.5. I'm also going Henderson anytime touchdown. I think he's the better of the two, or at least this season has been the better of the two. I know Judkins coming in had all this hype transferring out of Ole Miss. But Henderson, we saw it last game. They were attacking with the pass a lot, and then they give it off to Henderson.
Yeah.
First play of the drive breaks it 66 yards, I believe.
Yeah.
Completely caught them flat-footed. I think he gets one of those. I think he's going to be the back to do it. That being said, though, I'm going to give Texas some credit here. I think they're going to do a little bit, and I think one player who's going to have some success is the tight end, or Gunnar Helm. I think he's going to go over 44.5. Ohio State on the year against some of these top echelon tight ends. Ferguson for Oregon, cut him for 62 and 71 respectively. And then Warren, even in a game where Penn State really wasn't all there offensively, Aller only having the 150, as I mentioned earlier, Warren was still able to get 47 through the air.
Yeah.
Would have been nice if we got to see Loveland go against him, get that extra piece of data in there. But so far, the higher named tight ends have been able to get past that 45-yard mark. So I think Helm has had a great season. He's going to get to that 45. And those three things, again, coming in right around plus 400. Feeling pretty good about those.
I swear it's going to be Ewers running around all day, doing little dink and dunks. Oh, Texas gets 5 yards. I think there's a real chance, unfortunately, Ohio State could beat them by like 2 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it. And I want Texas to beat them. Ohio State might they might put belt to ass.
Yeah, I definitely like what you're saying. A big thing I saw against Oregon is they were rushing Gabriel real fast. They were getting into the backfield quickly. Ewers is going to have a low time to throw.
Yes.
So stuff like a little short curl will come back, something, or an option route on the tight ends. going to be big for them, just getting that ball out quickly.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of the time, if you're in man, you're probably going to be in man coverage. If you're bringing a lot of pressure, bringing those extra rushers, just something where you can kind of like slip out to the side is going to be big for him and big for Texas to be able to move the ball. Because I think Ohio State realized putting pressure on a quarterback like Gabriel really was effective, and they were able to get Oregon behind the sticks a lot of the time. Part of that's because of the run game, but part of it's because Gabriel was just dead in the water at times. And I think they're going to try to do the same thing. Obviously, different play styles, different teams, but a lot of mock drafts, you're seeing like Gabriel and Ewers in that same tier of prospect. So I think Ohio State might see that, maybe not, but try to use the same things and be effective in the same ways.
Yeah.
As they were against a good Oregon team.
Do you think that we're going to have a, I see it. We could have a repeat of Alabama when we talked about him earlier. Mr. Jalen Hurts went out after the second half because he did not have a great first half, and they brought in Tua, turned the ball over, right? And he won them the national championship. Do you think that we could have Arch Manning, if Texas is losing at halftime, if they're down by a touchdown or more, do you think we see Arch Manning? Do you think they give him a chance?
I think you would have to in that situation, especially because Ewers, a lot of the time when this offense has been sluggish, has not found a way out of it. He's been able to do enough, but what's been enough in the past, I don't think is going to be enough against Ohio State. It's just kind of like Ewers and the offense is having a slow game, but our slow is still better than what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
This is not going to be one of those games, I don't think. I think this is going to be one of those games, especially with how hot Ohio State started. You got to get out quickly. You got to try to get some points quickly. And if Ewers isn't getting that done, I think you got to yank him, because you cannot be in the same boat Tennessee and Oregon where you are falling behind big early and you are chasing a 17, 21 point deficit.
No, when Ohio State gets a lead, they win.
That's why I'm going with the -5.5.
Yeah, no.
Ohio State covering that.
I really think those are some smart bets. And that's kind of our goal on the show, is we're going to be dropping at least once a week, maybe twice a week if we have some really special bets that we're thinking. But I think mostly what we're trying to do is make you guys money, make ourselves money, and be as open as our thought process, our research into our bets, how we come to our decisions, so that you know that you can see the entire process. We're completely transparent. We want to make you guys money. We also just think it's a lot of fun to do. And if we all win money, that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not here to scam people. We're not going to be one of those groups that's out here saying, follow our picks, follow our picks, follow our Discord, all that stuff.
If you follow our picks, you're an idiot. Unless we win, then you're not. Great. Bye.